Now at 5, thousands of cattle in Kansas feedlots die in the heat. Plus, the latest on efforts to address the shortage of baby formula.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
No relief from the heat. This is KOAM News at 5. The heat index is hovering around the triple-digit mark, and that's going to continue through the weekend. Let's go to Doug Heddy for our first look.
Yeah, it definitely turned out to be another hot one for us today. We've had partly to mostly sunny skies across the region. Temperatures well into the 90s and not much going on as we have high pressure in charge, and that keeps us pretty much hot and dry across the region. Look at our temps: 90 in Monette, 92 in Grand, 93 in Pittsburgh and Neodesha, sitting at 94. Then you factor in the humidity and you get our heat indices right around 100 to about 102 degrees across the region. This is what we're going to see over the next few days. We drop back through the 90s, 80s, into the 70s later on tonight. If you have outdoor activities, it's going to be dry. It's just going to be very hot and humid as we go into the rest of the evening hours. Of course, we're going to look at Father's Day weekend here in just a bit.
See you then. Industry officials say thousands of cattle in feedlots in southwest Kansas are dying of heat stress due to the soaring temperatures, high humidity, and little wind in recent days. The final toll remains unclear, but as of yesterday, at least 2,000 heat-related deaths have been reported to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That number could rise as more losses from this week's heat wave are reported. A groundbreaking ceremony in Montgomery County, Kansas today marks the start of a project that could be a boost for the area economy and specifically for ag business. Construction is beginning on a $375 million soybean crushing facility in the Cherryvale area. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly was among the state and local dignitaries at that event. The Sarcoxie, Missouri Police Department is asking for help finding people who stole these tractor implements. Authorities say the items worth more than $35,000 were found today on some abandoned railroad tracks between County Road 67 and North Moist Street in Reeds, Missouri. Police believe the thieves were using them to clear a path down the tracks for easier access. If you know anything about the theft, you are asked to call police. With parents still scrambling to find baby formula, the Biden administration's Operation Fly formula flights ramped up this week to address the shortage. Today, shipments from overseas are expected to arrive in Ohio and Virginia, where Vice President Kamala Harris plans to greet the flight. Meanwhile, FDA officials say they're working with Abbott after their Michigan plant shut down again due to weather. Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is meeting with transportation workers who are helping to get more baby formula to store shelves. At least 10 flights carrying foreign formula to the U.S. are scheduled this week, according to the Department of Health and Human Services.
We are pulling the full force of the federal government to ramp up production and to increase the supply of safe infant formula.
I kind of walk through the aisle and I'll look. I have never seen it empty like that. I have compassion for those who are struggling to find it.
Some experts say that struggle may not ease for some time, even as the Biden administration has secured commitments for more than 130 million bottles of formula in the past month.
I think that we'll still see tight availability at least through the end of the summer.
Adding to the troubles, the Michigan Abbott formula plant at the center of the crisis had to shut down again due to severe storms and flooding. The plant had just restarted production days ago, though it was previously shuttered since February due to concerns of contaminated formula.
This is an unfortunate setback and a reminder that natural weather events can cause unforeseen disruptions in supply chains.
This week, the head of the FDA told lawmakers his agency is in constant contact with Abbott's CEO and that officials are on site working with the company to get the facility back up and running as soon as possible. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
HHS Assistant Secretary Rachel Levine warns parents should not make their own formula at home. And she says accepting formula from strangers should only be a last resort, advising families take caution to only accept donations that are sealed and without damage. Newly released data found that abortion rates increased in the U.S. from 2017 to 2020. Abortion rights group Guttmacher Institute released a survey that found there were more than 930,000 abortions in 2020. That's up from 862,000 in 2017. Data also showed 1 in 5 pregnancies ended in abortion in 2020. That's also up from 2017. According to the group, abortion rates had been decreasing since 1981. Experts have said access to better birth control contributed to the previous decline. Dramatic video out of eastern Ukraine as Russian forces bombard key targets in the Luhansk region of Donbass. Officials say at least 4 people were killed at a cultural center after Russian fighter jets attacked the city. More than 40 people were seeking shelter inside the center when the attack took place. The area is heavily industrial and is home to many factories and coal mines. Attacks in that region have ramped up as Putin's army continues its mission to take complete control of parts of eastern Ukraine. Still ahead, a happy Father's Day story.
This Father's Day brings 3 times the gratitude for one dad. I'm Naomi Ruckham with the story of a rare transplant giving a father another chance at life.
And some stats on the changing life expectancy of Americans. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, people who become infected with the Omicron variant of COVID are less likely to develop long COVID compared to those who had the Delta strain. Long COVID sufferers can experience symptoms including fatigue, shortness of breath, and joint pain 4 weeks or more after infection. A new study published in The Lancet finds life expectancy in the U.S. rose more than 2 years between 2000 and 2019 from about 76 years to 79 years. But researchers found key differences between racial and ethnic groups, with life expectancy for Black populations lower than white populations, underscoring the need to address disparities in healthcare. A New York father is thankful to have his life back this Father's Day weekend. He's the first patient in the Northeast to receive a triple transplant for a new heart, lungs, and kidney. Naomi Ruckham has his story.
Ooh. So cold.
Steve Quinn is grateful he can now be the dad he wants to be with his daughter Kira.
I was basically like observing her life instead of participating in it.
The 40-year-old suffers from a rare autoimmune disorder that causes the immune system to attack the lungs and kidneys. He received a new kidney in his 20s and his health was good. But a few months ago, he started having shortness of breath.
Breathing was the big thing. I would go in and out of murmurs and atrial fibrillation. My heart would beat out of rhythm all the time. I had no energy whatsoever.
Doctors at NYU Langone Health told him he needed a new heart and kidney.
His heart had accumulated a lot of calcium over many years, and the pressures inside the heart were so high that it started to damage his lungs.
Dr. Bernard Kadosh says during Steve's workup, the team discovered he would also need new lungs.
Triple organ transplantation is very rare. Heart, lung, kidney has not been done in the Northeast ever.
I entered a pretty dark, sad place, and the transplant team noticed it, and they asked what could I do, and I was like, what could they do? And I just thought I just want to see my daughter. And that kind of like rejuvenated me to get through the next waiting and then recovery and stuff.
Steve got his triple organ transplant in March, a 13-hour surgery. He said the recovery was tough. 3 months later, he can walk a mile with Hills and live in these moments with Kira.
This is going to allow me to see her go to kindergarten for the first time and do like donuts with dad and daddy-daughter dances and stuff like that. And it just fills you with so much love.
This Father's Day, he says he's thankful for the gifts another family gave him to be here for his daughter. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, Brooklyn, New York.
European researchers looking at when to recommend genetic testing for athletes report most athletes who die suddenly had no symptoms or family history of heart disease. Guidelines published in the European Society of Cardiology say clinical evaluations are appropriate for most athletes, but in some cases, genetic testing is the best course to identify heart abnormalities, which could be life-threatening. There might be a link between climate change and infant health. According to a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, the burning of fossil fuels, which helps create pollution and extreme heat, appear to pose a threat to babies and children. Some pediatricians say they've seen a rise in heat-related illnesses, including heat stroke, over the past few years. In some cases, young patients even suffered climate-linked mental health issues. These findings come as severe heat warnings are in effect for millions of people in the Midwest and Southeast. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why several popular pain relievers are the subject of a recall.
Plus the heat and the humidity stick around. Also some rain chances. We'll look at that coming up. Well, of course, another hot, humid day for us today. Temperatures right back up into the 90s. We had mostly sunny skies, do have mostly sunny skies. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, temperatures, we're sitting into low to mid 90s across the board. We're going to have a slow drop back as we go through the evening hours. And you can see we aren't alone. Look at the entire Central Plains. We got triple digits out across western Kansas and western parts of Nebraska. You factor in the humidity, you get the heat index, the way it actually feels. Most of us about 100 to about 102 degrees. 7th and range line currently sitting at 94. West southwesterly wind 5 to 10. Humidity at 46%. Through the evening hours, we drop back through the 90s, 80s, eventually into the mid 70s a little bit later on tonight, but nothing going on here. We have pretty much clear skies, nothing popping up on the radar, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the evening hours. In fact, high pressure is in charge, so any showers, any thunderstorms down across the southern parts of the plains as we continue with this big dome of high pressure keeping us pretty much high and dry across the region. Let's go through time tonight. We'll drop back through the 90s, 80s, mid 70s. We'll stop at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll be sitting into the mid 70s. By the noon hour, I think most of us upper 80s across the region, and then we'll pop up into lower 90s once again. But look at this. You can see a few isolated thunderstorms trying to pop up across the region. We will have a few isolated out there. It doesn't look like widespread rain by any means, but you can see these isolated little thunderstorms kind of sticking around as we go through the evening hours. Here's your day planner starting at 73 and 90 by noon, 94 during the afternoon, southerly winds right around 5 to 10. Any isolated storms that would pop up should be gone by 8 or 9 p.m. And then we look pretty good as we go through the rest of the night. We drop back into low to mid 70s for overnight lows. Heading into Sunday, much of the same, maybe a hair cooler, 90 to about 92 for an afternoon high. And of course, that is Father's Day. And then as we head into Monday morning, dropping back near 70 degrees. Heat indices tomorrow, I think about 100 to 103 during the afternoon. Heat indices again on Sunday, upper 90s to near 100 degrees. And then the heat kind of pumps back in as we go through next week. I think Monday, we'll be back into the mid 90s. Tuesday, mid 90s, maybe even upper 90s. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, we have chances to get a few showers and thunderstorms in here as that kind of heat dome starts to break down just a bit. 94 tomorrow, 92 on Sunday. Again, some isolated thunderstorms tomorrow evening. 93 Monday, 96 Tuesday, 96 Wednesday, 97 Thursday, 96 on Friday. 90 stick around into next weekend. Chances for some scattered showers and thunderstorms.
90s all the way to the horizon of that 10-day forecast.
Yeah, looks good, doesn't it?
No, it does not. Thank you, Doug. Montana's governor was not in Montana or in the U.S. at all when the punishing floods hit Yellowstone National Park and communities on its fringes this week. Instead, he was in Italy, but Republican Greg Gianforte's office didn't tell his constituents that for days. Now Gianforte is back in Montana and under fire for not hurrying home more quickly and for keeping the public in the dark as to his whereabouts. His office says he was briefed regularly about the flooding. Let's take a look at our tower camera sponsored by Ari Smith Construction as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. You can check it out anytime on our website. There it is. It's koamnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, some controversy about how some retailers are marketing Juneteenth. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Richard Wright joined the U.S. Army in 2007. The Wyandotte, Oklahoma native served in Iraq, and we're proud to salute Private First Class Richard Wright. He's a four-state hero. You know, you can learn about lots and lots of other heroes from all across this area, more than 3,000 of them in our database. You can also submit a hero of your own anytime. It's very simple. You just click on the link on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Consumer Product Safety Commission is recalling more than 400,000 medication bottles from Kroger and Walgreens. The bottles contain the pain relievers, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, and aspirin. There's nothing wrong with the medication, but the bottles don't meet standards for child resistance. That means a child could open them and accidentally ingest the medications inside. All the bottles are branded either Walgreens or Kroger. The specific bottles covered under the recall are listed on the CPSC's website as well as Kroger and Walgreens websites. This Sunday is Juneteenth, a day that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. But as Americans across the country mark this special holiday, many are calling out companies for their marketing surrounding it. Elise Preston reports.
Juneteenth is a day for celebration and remembrance. Last year, President Joe Biden signed a new law making June 19th a federal holiday. It joins other summer holidays like the 4th of July, which retailers have used to market and sell products. And there are fears companies will try to capitalize on Juneteenth.
Nobody asked for this. Nobody.
Last month, North Carolina mom Darianne Alexis McNeil spotted a Juneteenth branded ice cream while shopping with her son at Walmart. She shared her disappointment on social media, and the post went viral.
They would never drop ice cream to celebrate Auschwitz. You know, the liberation of Auschwitz. We don't get the same sensitivity when it comes to the Holocaust, basically, of our own people.
Did you explain any of this to your 10-year-old son?
He asked me why I didn't buy it. And I told him that's just not something that I will accept or participate in.
Walmart removed the ice cream and apologized.
What I don't want Juneteenth to become is reduced and relegated to, just a Mattress Day sale.
Laquan Austin with the Juneteenth Foundation believes instead of pushing products, corporations can use the day to instead promote diversity and equity within their companies. And he says the best way for American families to celebrate is to reflect on the holiday's importance and invest in communities of color.
Go out and buy black. Use this as a singular day to actually go out and support local black businesses and entrepreneurs in your community. Us supporting each other is a really important, critical component of it.
A critical lesson, McNeil says she is teaching her son. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
On June 19th in 1865, the last enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were officially told that the Civil War was over and that they were free. 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, on the road with a determined high school senior who stopped at nothing to beat the odds by graduation day. Then on KOAM News at 6, Chris Warner looks at why ranches in this area have not had the heat-related cattle deaths that we've seen in southwestern Kansas, plus the investigation of a mysterious fatal explosion in Missouri, and 2 local summer baseball teams square off at Pitt State. Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Scientists believe the Hubble telescope has detected a black hole right in our own backyard, astronomically speaking. It's actually about 5,000 light years away in a spiral arm of our Milky Way known as Carina Sagittarius. The black hole might look similar to what you're seeing, which is actually an artist's impression. Researchers believe this black hole is in motion and think there are about 100 million more free-floating black holes moving about in our galaxy. Just something to kind of blow your mind as we end the work week.
Yeah, what's on the other side of the black hole?
That is a little further mind-blowing. I do not know. I know that in this little corner of this planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy, it's going to be hot.
It is. We're going to be back into the 90s for the next few days. 94 tomorrow. We are going to get some isolated thunderstorms tomorrow evening. Father's Day, a little bit cooler. High temp 92.
little bit cooler. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.